In this tutorial series, we are creating this website from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now in this video, we will start designing this website. So in this video, we will design the nav bar and also this hero section. So let's get started. Alright, so here I have created this folder called musician website, and I just opened it with VS Code, and also have this folder called images where we have all these images. Now let's start by creating the necessary files. So let's create a new file called index.html, and let's create another file called style.css, and let's create one more file called main.js. So let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code, you can just type exclamation and press tab, and you will have this basic HTML5 code. Now here for the title, let's type welcome. Now here let's link our CSS file, so we can just type link and press tab. And here in the href, let's type style.css. And here in the body, let's type script:/src and press tab. And here let's type main.js. So we have linked our CSS and JavaScript files to the index.html file. Right now, let's start with our markup. Now the first thing we will do is we'll create this nav bar. So let's create a nav element, and in this nav bar we can see that all the content is inside a specific width. So if we zoom out, we can see that we have this max width for this nav bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another division with the class of container, and we will style it in the CSS with a max width property. Now here in this division, we need to have the left section where we have the logo and these menu items, and the right section where we have this contact button. So let's create a division with the class of left. Now in this, let's create a division with the class of logo, and here let's create the logo. So let's create an anchor tag, and here let's type lb dot. So this is our logo. You can add an image if you want over here. And then after the logo, let's create another division with the class of menu items. And in this menu items, let's add all these menu items. So let's create anchor tags for all of that. And here, instead of this hash, you can add the links of these pages. So here let's tap home, and I'll just duplicate it 3 more times. And we have portfolio, music and about. Right now, let's go outside the left division, and let's create another division with the class of right. And in this right division, we will have this contact button. So let's create an anchor tag, and let's tap contact. Now here, since this is a button, we need to style it differently. So let's add a class called btn. Right now, let's go outside this nav, and let's create a header. And in this header, we need to have this text. So we need to have all this content inside a fixed width as well. So let's create a division with the class of container. And here let's type h1, and let's add this text, enjoy creative music. Alright, that's basically it with the header. And now let's go ahead and style this in our CSS. So first of all, let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So here I have this extension installed called live server. So once you have this installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML file and click on open with live server. And now we can see our website is being displayed in the browser. Let's go ahead and start styling this. So let's go to the style.css file, and first of all, let's import the fonts over here. So let's go to fonts.google.com, and here to go ahead and search for the fonts. So the fonts that we need are Inter, and this font over here is called DM Serif Display. So you can just search for the fonts over here. So you can just have DM Serif Display and open the font, and just click on the add button over here. So I have already added it, so it is showing me this remove button. So you can add the DM Serif Display and also the Inter font. And once you do that, you will find this screen right here. And here we can see I have the Inter font and the DM Serif Display font. Then you can just click on this Get Embed Code button, and you can go to Import, and you can get this line of code and paste it in your CSS. So I'll just copy this, and I'll just paste it in the CSS. Right now, the next thing we will do is we will select everything, and we will type box sizing to border box so that we have the correct width and height for all the elements. And now let's select the body and let's remove the default margin. And let's set the font family of all the text to Inter sans serif by default. And let's set the color of all the text to 0. And let's set the color of all the text to 000, which is black. And let's add some CSS variables over here. So let's tap :root, and this will be accessible throughout our CSS. So let's create a primary color, and let's set the value to D1510A. Let's create another variable with a name of primary2color, and here let's tap 923A06, and let's create another variable called accent color, and let's set the value to F3E8E2. Right now let's add some styles for the container. So for the container we need to have a max width. So let's tap max width, and let's set the max width to 1000 pixels, and we'll also bring it to the center horizontally. So let's tap margin inline, which is margin left and right, and let's set it to auto. And let's set a padding of 0 top and bottom and 30 pixels left and right, so it will look good on mobile versions as well. Right now let's select all the anchor tags and let's remove the underlines by default. So let's tap text decoration to none, and let's set the color of all the text of the anchor tags to 0, which is black. Right now let's select all the paragraph and let's add a line height and let's set it to 1.8. Right now that we are done with this basic common CSS, let's go ahead and start with the nav bar. So the first thing we will do is let's target the nav element, and let's set the position to fixed so that even if we scroll down it will always stay at the top. And let's set the top position to 0 and left to 0 and right to 0. And let's add a background color of white, and let's add a box shadow, and let's set the values to 0, 3 pixels, 50 pixels, -7 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.3. So this is our nav bar. Let's also set a padding of 30 pixels top and bottom, 0 for left and right. Right now we want the left and the right divisions to be one next to the other, because here we can see we have this nav element, and in that we have the container, and in the container we have the left and the right divisions. So let's type nav container, and let's set a display of flex, align items to the center, and justify content to space between. So now we can see that the left section is on the left side and the right section on the right side. Right now we want this logo to be on the left side and the menu items to be on the right side. So here we can see we have this division with the class of left, and in that we have the logo and the menu items. So let's add a display of flex for this left division as well. So let's tap nav left, display of flex, align items to the center, and let's add a gap of 60 pixels between the elements. So now we can see we have this logo on the left side, we have the menu items, and we have this contact button. Right now let's target this logo. So for the logo we have this anchor tag, and it has this container division of logo. So let's go ahead and type nav logo, and let's set the font size to 24 pixels. Let's set the font weight to bold. Let's set the font family to DM serif display, and serif as a backup font. And here we have the logo. Right now let's style these menu items. So let's type nav, and we have a division with the class of menu items. So let's set the display to flex, and let's add a gap of 30 pixels. So this is our menu items. Right now let's style this button. So for the button we have this class of btn. So let's type .btn. And for the button let's add a background color of var, and let's select primary color. So this is the variable that we created over here in the CSS. And let's add a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom, 32 pixels left and right. Let's set a border radius of 20 pixels, and let's set the color of the text to white. And let's go ahead and add a hover effect. So let's tap button :hover, and when we hover over this button we will set the color to primary to color. So let's tap background and let's set it to var primary to color, and let's add a smooth transition. So let's type transition and let's set it to all 300 milliseconds ease. And now we can see we have this hover effect. Now if you scroll down in our design, we also have a button which has a different styling. So for this button we will have a class called light as well. So let's style that button. Let's type btn.light. So when we have this light class for the button, we just go ahead and set the border to 2 pixels solid var primary color, and we'll set the background to white, and we'll set the color of the text to black. And let's add the hover effect for this light button. So let's type btn.light hover, and here let's set the color of the text to white, and let's add a background color of var primary color. Right now let's go ahead and style this header. So let's add a comment. Let's type header, and let's target the header element. And first of all, let's add a margin top so that the header that we have right now should be displayed over here, because right now it is hidden by this nav bar. Now this nav bar has a height of 83 pixels, so I'll just add a margin top of 83 pixels. Now we can see we have the header being displayed over here. Now let's also set a height of 100 viewport height, and let's set the width to 100%, and let's also set the height to 100 viewport height. Let's set the display to flex, align items to the center, and justify content to the center. And let's add a background, and let's set the background color to a dark color. Let's just add black color over here, and we'll also add a background image. So let's type background URL. So if the image is not there, then we will have this black background color, but if the image is available, then it will be shown. So let's tap images, and I have an image called hero.jpg, so let's add that over here. And here we can see we have the image being displayed. And for the image, let's set a background size to cover, and let's set the background repeat to no repeat, so that the background won't be repeated even if we zoom out. Right now let's style the h1. So let's tap header h1, and let's set the font size to 60 pixels. Let's set the color of the text to white. Let's add a background color of black. Let's add a padding of 10 pixels, and let's set the font family to DM serif display serif. And with that, we have styled our nav bar and the hero section of our website. So that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below, and if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.